Hey everyone, we're finally back. Hey everyone, welcome back finally to another episode of Getting to Know the Family, the show where we get to know you, the parishioners of Holy Family Parish here in San Jose. Season 2 production was a bit delayed because of my health, but back on track now, and so thank you all for your prayers. Back in the fall, I sat down with Christopher Schmitz, and I'm here by our festival truck because Chris is known for his passion for the festival. But there's so much more to his story, so come along with me as we get to know Christopher Schmitz. Welcome, Chris. We're glad to have you on our show.
Happy to be here, Scott.
So we're going to dive right in. Let's start with how you found Holy Family.
Good question. My wife and I had purchased a house nearby, and we're sort of centrally located between St. Chris, Holy Family, and St. Francis Cabrini. And from past experiences, we decided we didn't want to go to St. Chris. And I've been to Holy Family before as a youngster with my parents. And so we tried here, and we also did go to Cabrini, and we knew we were going to have kids. So, you know, we were going to pick one of those two. It happens that my younger brother, I believe, was already going here and with some of his children. And so we did come to masses, and we decided to come here. We liked this much better than Cabrini at the time. So, and we still do, obviously. So that's how we found it.
When you narrowed it down to two, was it because of school?
Yeah, school, and my brother was here, so my children's cousins would be here. And so it was like, okay, well, you know, that's a good, to me, you know, for safety and for, you know, having somebody maybe to pick up the kids if need be, or us help them out kind of thing. So it would be a hand-in-hand kind of thing I thought at the time. So that was really the reason we came here.
Okay. So you talked about coming here as a youngster. So where did you grow up?
So I grew up down by IBM area as a child. In fact,
Coyote Valley, that area, or?
We were closer to just north of IBM, north of Cottle, off of Monterey Highway there, when there was still orchards. And when my parents bought the house, they moved in. I was born 2 weeks later. So the joke was, how old is the house? Christopher, how old are you? And that's how we knew how old the house was. So it's my age. So I grew up there south, you know, when there was really nothing out there. And we attended St. Maria Goretti, and our real home church was St. Mary's downtown San Jose. And that's where my dad and his whole family went as children back in the 40s. And that was a German parish, and that was built by the German community back in 1893, I believe, was the cornerstone of that church. And me and my two brothers attended that Catholic school as kids all the way through 8th grade there. So, and the reason we came here is occasionally, depending on timing, probably football games or a family party or something, if we couldn't make it to Maria Goretti, which was close, and we couldn't make it to St. Mary's downtown, we would come here. So that's how I learned about this parish as well as a child or a youngster.
Okay. What were you like as a kid?
You know, believe it or not, I was shy. I had a stuttering issue as a little guy, probably grew out of it at 3-4 years old, something like that. I think it was maybe the way my tongue and my teeth worked or whatever. But I was a very shy kid. I wasn't shy around family. Once I got to know people, I was fine, but I was shy around people I didn't know. And so it was difficult for me maybe to make friends as a kid, although the neighborhood kids I was fine with because I'm around them all the time. But yeah, so I was a shy kid. I was a pretty smart kid. Going to school, I skipped 5th grade as a kid, academically. I think I took some test or something at the beginning of the year, and the teacher's like, oh my God, this kid, he's blown out of the water. So my parents thought about it for a long time, and I was already young. My birthday's in September, so going to school, I was already, I didn't turn of age sort of to be a school kid till late September. So I started early, then to skip a grade. So I graduated from high school at 16. So I couldn't even drive a car at high school, if you can imagine. All the sophomores are, driving cars, and here I am still, bumming rides off of friends. But somewhere along the way, I decided I didn't want to be shy anymore. I don't know what the click or the light bulb was that went off, and I kind of changed overnight, like an early teenager, and I just became more outgoing, and I guess I became a butterfly, at that point. I kind of matured, and now I'm the same way. I think I'm outgoing, and I never would have thought myself to be that way. So
just an act of the will.
I think so. I don't know what did it. I think I just said, I'm tired of being this wallflower kind of person. Why don't you be open to people and be friendly and talk and speak up and give your opinion, and it just did it like overnight. There was no just gradual thing. It just like snap, and there I was. So here I am.
It might seem obvious, but I don't think it is. How did that change your life?
Oh, in a great way. I mean, here I would be, hanging on to my mom's leg as a little guy, even saying goodbye to relatives or somewhere. I would actually get in tears, cry, because I was like embarrassed. I don't know what it was, if it was a self, I wasn't, I'm trying to think of the right word, and you're going to have to cut this one out. But my confidence, I didn't have confidence, I think, at the time. And so, but it did change my life in a good way, that I was able to be I don't want to say normal, but a productive person and willing to go out on a limb and do things maybe I normally wouldn't do. And that's really only in dealing with people. Other things I was fine with. I never had a problem not going and doing things. It was just dealing with people.
Right. How did you meet your wife?
Yeah, good story. I was working at a place actually down in Hollister, California. And it was a semiconductor company that was manufacturing equipment. And I took a leave of absence back in 83, I want to say is when it was, 81, maybe somewhere in there. And I went to Europe for about 3 months with some female cousins of mine. And the three of us went over there, and we had a great time. And when I came back to work was gracious enough to allow me that time off. This young gal was now the secretary at the office. And so I'm like, well, who was that? And so, I saw her prancing through the office all the time. And so from my desk, I was like, well, who's that gal? So I got to meet her, and we were at a Christmas party for the company, and we got along, and that was how we really met, through work.
How long have you been married?
This year was 35 years. Yeah.
Right.
I know, we look at each other and it's like, 35 years, where did the time go, but it just keeps adding up.
And two kids?
2 children, Stephanie and Matthew, yes.
Okay. So what has it been like raising a family here at Holy Family?
Good. The kids have really been not a problem for us. I mean, raising them. They were both well-behaved kids. Stephanie being the first, we were blessed with a baby that didn't complain about a thing. So it was like the only time she cried was, when she needed changing or was hungry. So it was like, this is a snap, This is this it for a baby? You know, I'm like, I'm waiting for the teething and everything else. But I remember going to weddings, family weddings with her as a toddler, and she would go to the hors d'oeuvre table, turn around and look at me, and I was talking to family members, and I'd just go, hey, take one from across the room, and she'd turn around, take one. Now my son, you know, he never turned around and looked, but he's, you know, the type that maybe would be eating 5 or 6, and, you know, of course it'd be candy. So, but, you know, yeah, Matthew was a different kid compared to Stephanie, and I don't think we'd have it any other way, though. You know, he's been fun, he's active, he's kept me busy, on my toes. We do things together to a certain degree. I wish we did more at this stage of my life with him, but we have done a lot of things together as father-son, a lot of sports events, coaching him, and so yeah, raising those 2 kids has been a privilege and a joy.
What sports have you coached her? And it sounded like you played football or something.
Yeah, he did, here at Holy Family, he played basketball. He went into hardball as a youngster, and so I coached him from T-ball all the way through as a young adult, and then later on I coached an adult hardball league in Silicon Valley here, 18 and up, and I was fortunate enough to be able to play, I think, 2 seasons with him on the team. So that's kind of a thrill to play on the same team as your kid. And I cherish that too. And we had a really good team one of the last years we played. So we won. I'm going to brag now. We won it all. So it was great photos to look at still, and to see us and be proud of your son or your child and what they've done and accomplished on a team like that was really, you know, it's heartwarming. It's things that he doesn't realize how I feel about that, you know. I mean, and it's very deep in my heart that I was able to do that with him.
So, Holy Family. A lot of people, when we think about Holy Family, we think about community. Mm-hmm. And I know community is really, really important to you, particularly the festival. Tell me about the festival at Holy Family.
Yeah, so the festival to me is something that's really, you know, in my heart, and it's a big part of me and in our family. My family loves the festival. Our kids love the festival as little ones here from pre-K on. And I remember embedding in them, especially what made festival for me was seeing other school kids volunteer. And they made festival happen for the little ones that couldn't volunteer yet. That's the way I saw it. And so I always told my children, I said, hey, when you're old enough to volunteer, you need to volunteer, because without you, you know, I always said, did you enjoy festival this year? Yeah, Dad, we loved it. You know, it was great, all the rides, all the games. I'm like, great. I said, one of these days you're gonna have to volunteer so kids that are your age now, like you are now, will be able to enjoy festival. And so to this day, my kids have made every festival. I think my daughter didn't make a few due to college, but they still look forward to it every year. They're here all 3 days, and my son helps with setup and tear down for the most part. And you know, I'm happy that they're part of that. You know, and so festival to me is a great community builder. I know a lot of people worry about the money and are more concerned about the money sometimes, and are we breaking even, and what do our numbers look like? And that doesn't appeal to me one bit. Yeah, I want us to make some money. But to me, it's just seeing the joy and the happiness walking around the festival, and the kids coming through and the parents coming through, people enjoying the food, the non-Holy Family people that come through and have smiles on their face, the neighbors that may not belong to our parish, but they see our community, and they can see the joy and the love and how much fun we have here. And to me, it's just a great community builder. especially for, I think, the men of the parish, if they get together and they help build this thing up and they help tear it down and they participate. It's just great to meet everybody. It's bonds that make it, for me, it's great because I can now call somebody in a heartbeat and say, hey, we need help doing this, or we need help doing that. Are you available? It was like putting up the canopy when we had COVID in the beginning for Mass. Made a few phone calls, got guys together, no problem. I had very few no's, I can't make it it wasn't due to they didn't want to do it, they just couldn't. Yeah. So to me, that community building is a must, especially for the men in the parish, I think, to get here. And that also, I think, gets them in the door of the church with their family, knowing that it's a more comfortable place when they see you and they can wave and say hi, and they know a familiar face. And to me, that's a big deal.
How did you get involved in festival?
So I started way back. I kind of base it on my daughter's age, so it's been over 30 years, and that's when John and Dennis were running it. And I remember being one of the first guys showing up, and then I kind of got earmarked to be their special guy, they molded me in, I think, to do that job. And I'm a fast learner. I know how things can go together, see it once, and I can do it again. And so watching them and watching how things got put together, I did that. I really didn't volunteer on my own. I volunteered because I kind of had to, right? I mean, I needed the hours for our kids at school. And so I did that way. But now, I don't have kids for 20 years or whatever it's been, and I still do it because it really is out of love for the community and the new parishioners, the new parents, the young parents, to see that, hey, there are older people in this church that will do things for my family. And it really is a labor of love to put that together and to want to do it every year. Yeah, I hate it when it's going to happen, but once it's here, it's great. And then it's like, oh gosh, it's already gone now. So it's to me, it's just a wonderful thing to get everybody together.
So you're a man of many talents. I'm going to surprise you something here. I have it here hidden. Tell me about this.
So the church was being redone, as everybody knows, the new carpet, the new altar area, all the new pews. And they were auctioning off pews, as I remember. And I said I wanted some of them. So I think Christina or Ann helped me grab a couple pews. I can't remember which numbers they were, but I got 2 of them. And I was really hoping there was going to be a lot of good, useful wood on those. And there really wasn't that much good wood on the pews, unfortunately.
That's one of the reasons we replaced them all.
They were cheaper than I thought. I was like, oh my gosh, these were terrible, But there was several people that worked on the project, and you were one of them. And I watched that happen. I didn't get involved in that. You guys had it going great. So I stayed out of everybody's way, which is fine with me. But I wanted to reward some of the people that I know were here late nights, all day, probably early mornings when I didn't see them. And I built some crosses using the old pew wood, and you received one of those from me.
Yes.
And so I think they turned out nice. They're a nice memento of what's gone on in this church, and as a parishioner, I think anybody would be happy to have one. And so it was my pleasure building those for those few.
This was such a wonderful surprise. And, it's a beautiful cross, and on the back it says 2019 Holy Family. And so knowing that I'll always have, a piece of Holy Family history with me, and that you would take the care and consideration to do that. And
It was
Thank you for that.
my pleasure for doing that. And it is really my appreciation for what some of you guys did above and beyond for us. When I say us, I mean you.
Oh, again, thank you for that.
You are more than
Like I
welcome.
said, a man of many talents.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about your faith. So you grew up Catholic, went through Catholic school, married, raised your kids Catholic. How has your faith changed through the years?
I'm glad you asked that question. You know, I grew up not knowing any other way. What we call ourselves a cradle Catholic, right? I was baptized as an infant, and I didn't know anything else growing up. And I really have to give my parents and their parents, my grandparents, you know, kudos for raising their kids that way, which in end raises me that way, and giving me the opportunities I've had as being raised Catholic in my faith. Although when we did become parishioners here, my wife and I, there was a point where we weren't coming to church all the time. You know, we kind of fell off. It was like, I'm going to be lazy. Yeah, I'm working a lot of hours. This is my day off. I'm going to sit in the family room and watch football here and not go to church today. Or, you know, I'll just blow off Mass this weekend. And we kind of did that for a while. And I don't know who said it or how I got wind of it, but it was like, you know, what kind of example am I showing my children that are going to this school here and I'm not participating in Mass where they go to church? And so we turned ourselves around and we went to weekend Masses very regularly. And the thing that really changed my faith around, though, really was having a Curcio weekend. And a Curcio weekend, which is not a retreat, it's really a movement, changed my life in a way that I know I'm forgiven for everything that I've done, and I know I'm loved. And my attitude now about church is I can't wait to get here. In fact, I even changed my morning work schedule to do morning Masses, daily Masses. And I did that for 2, 3, 4 years. I can't remember until Father Andrew got lazy and decided he wanted to sleep in after COVID. And so, sorry, Father, but now I can't make the morning Mass because it's a little too late. And so I missed too much work. But if he's listening, I hope he changes it back to the 7:30 start, because I really enjoy and miss the Mass. And when you do it on a daily basis for a year, you get to know the Bible better and all the readings. You start your day off in such a positive manner that you can't go wrong. It's like praying to me now. I do the rosary at lunch during a workout, and I do Communication Hill, and my cadence for my prayers or my steps or my runs. And I'll just about get a full rosary in, and depending on all my intentions, but when I don't do it, I miss it terribly. And that's the same with Mass. I miss it terribly if I'm not here. And so morning Mass, I try to catch online on the stream Mass, catch the tail end of it when I get to work. And I still try to participate that way the best I can. I do miss the Eucharist that way every day, but I participate best I can with it. And so my faith is, I think, grown. I'm so much better off with losing parents and having the faith that I have, and losing loved ones and friends, and knowing that they're in the place that I know they are and that I hope to be someday too. So faith is a a big deal. I was just talking to a friend today at it's a Curcio meeting I go to every Saturday. I've been to it for 10 years now, every Saturday, vacations excluded. And this poor guy's dad is on his last legs, but he has no faith. And so it's killing this friend of mine, because to see his father fighting it the way he is. And I'm like, yeah, it's just got to be a terrible thing not to have our faith. So having our faith is, it's a beautiful thing. I cherish it.
So part of our faith, I think you touched on this, that being a daily communicant for so many years, is the real presence in the Eucharist. What does it mean to you to be able to receive Jesus Christ in the Eucharist?
That's a very deep love for me. I've told friends that one of my most cherished things to do at Mass is to be a Eucharistic minister. And I didn't start that till right when I was going through, later actually, after Curcio, but I always wanted to do it. But I was a little afraid to. And, was I worthy to touch the body and to deliver it for him? And now I look at it when I give others communion. It makes me a part of their communion with Christ. That's how deep it is for me. Receiving him, I don't even know if there's words for it. I try to be so reverent around it. I won't even, when I go home after Mass, I make sure the way I even handle my mouth is different. I don't want to say accidentally spit or something. It seems weird, but he's still there. Maybe there's still a little piece of him in my mouth that I haven't consumed yet. And so I try to make sure that before I say brush my teeth or do anything like that, that I'm aware in my mind that he's inside now, and I'm not accidentally putting him somewhere where I don't want him. But yeah, it's a very special. When the host is being consecrated, it's a special time for me. Special prayers that I say silently. And when I receive his body, I go back to thinking what he went through for me. The beating, the blood on the ground, everything.
What might you say to someone who struggles with the notion that Jesus is really present in the Eucharist?
I just tell him that person, I haven't run across anybody like that yet, but I do know people, but I've never probably discussed it with them. And if I were to, I would go back to the Last Supper and say, this is when Jesus said those words, this is my body or this is my blood. Do this in remembrance of me. When the disciples ate the bread and drank the wine or the blood at that point, to me, we are doing the same thing. I went to a funeral last weekend, and it was a non-denominational funeral, and it was a beautiful funeral. And the pastor said, we're going to have communion. And he kind of gave a little dig at the Catholics, that, everybody's welcome. Like we don't welcome everybody, but the reason we don't want to say we don't welcome everybody, but the reason we don't allow you just to come in and take the body is because it is the body to us. And you need to learn that part of it. But I still took the communion with the rest of everybody, but it just wasn't the same. You know, it just wasn't the same. Yeah, we were in communion together, but it wasn't the Holy Eucharist. Jesus, I know he's present. It's like at the morning mass when we talk about the prayer that we say for everybody that's online. You know, I know you're present in my heart, and I don't ever want you to leave me, and I can't be there to consume you, but I know you're here. And so I thought of that prayer when I took this bread and wine that was there for everybody to partake in. And I looked at the positive of it. You know, I wasn't looking at anything negative. It's like, yeah, I know it's not.
It's an experience of love.
Exactly.
Not
Exactly.
It's a communal love, not
exactly.
the same.
So, you know, maybe I don't know if that's maybe giving that example to somebody would be a good way of telling them how we believe that Jesus is in that wafer that we received, that piece of bread.
What question have I not asked you that I should?
I'll tell you what's changed when you asked earlier about my faith. You know, I think doing the festival, you know, it is part of my faith too, right? I probably wouldn't do it if I didn't have the faith I have. Village House, you know, part of that was me wanting to do it, as well as I found out later that Father Andrew was probably already looking into it and potentially doing it. I did make the steps and the move to call him and say, hey, we need to do this. And there is a story behind that, and I'd like to actually share that.
So before you do that,
Yeah.
For our viewers that may not know what Village House is, and that's exactly why I asked the question, because I knew there was something I forgot. Village House. What is Village House?
Yeah, so its mission really was to take up to 15 women, is what the county would allow us, to take them and house them overnight, feed them, take care of them, give them a safe place or a safe haven that was really filled with love, and to get them off the street and to get them better. They were all medically challenged women. They were, I'm trying to remember the correct word, but they called them medically vulnerable. So a lot of them on the street, they probably would have died, the majority of them. That stress and just being out on the street. So did we save lives? I think we did. You know, maybe not so much Holy Family maybe, but all in all, Village House as a whole with all of the partnering churches save lives. And did we get women into housing? Yes. Did we get women into jobs? Yes. Did we get women off the streets? Yes. Was it a tip of the iceberg? Yes, but it was a start. It was something to do. I told the story that I'm not good at giving out cash and money to homeless people. It's just not me. It's hard for me to bust open that wallet and do it. I do it more and more now because I used to be worried about what that person was going to do with the money. And now it's the right thing is to give them some money if I feel they are asking for it and are needy, and not worry about what they do with it. Yeah, the guy may go out and buy a beer, but maybe that's his one treat of the week or the month for himself. Maybe that person's gonna go and splurge it, or maybe they'll give it away. It's not my right to be worried about what they're gonna do with the gift I gave them. So Village House really was a labor of love. I had a lot of help here at Holy Family. Christina was one of the helpers. People came out of the woodwork to help. People I didn't know at Holy Family offered their services. The church office and Father Andrew and the rest, and Father Celso at the time, would all bend over backwards to help. We received anything we wanted or needed, we were granted. It was just wonderful. We got things that we didn't even ask for. Food and breads and just donations and the things people would do for the women. Laundry, meals. Other churches would bring their youth groups in. I'd have the Cub Scouts would come in. It was such a joy to have our local pack come in, serve the women, serve them ice cream after dinner. Here's these little 10-year-old boys helping women they didn't know, and the women loved it because a lot of them had kids they couldn't even see anymore. So seeing those boys and the joy and the parents seeing their boys do what they were doing and me witnessing it too was just great. We really miss it. And if Father Andrew's listening again, I think the next thing I would like to propose is that we do a safe park here for homeless folks that live in their cars that would be able to stay in our parking lot overnight and have a safe area to stay.
Yeah, I believe Santa Teresa was doing that.
Yep, Santa Teresa does it. Yep, there's a lot of other partner churches. And so for Village House, we had a trailer for shower as well. And that trailer now, some of the Village House people started a new ministry where they take that to the safe parks around this Bay Area here and allow those homeless folks to have a hot shower. And at least, I don't know how you feel, but I feel like $1 million after a hot shower. Like if I'm up camping and I could take a shower somewhere, oh my, that's great. So for people, I think, that are living in their car to be able to get a shower, that would be awesome.
Yes.
So
I conclude these interviews with those questions we were talking about. You're ready.
I hope I remember all my answers.
Yeah,
I did a little pregame on you, Scott.
Yeah, that's the thing about it now is people can do they can
kind of know what's coming.
Do the research.
I think you're throwing me a curveball here, though, so I'm ready.
I'm not going to change it up. So what is your favorite word?
It's really love. Just love.
What is your least favorite word?
I actually have two of them. One is hate, which is the opposite of that love. In fact, I don't even use the word hate. I usually say dislike. And the other one that goes with that is judgment. I dislike people that judge people, even myself. I mean, I've been guilty of that. And I used to be that hater guy. I used to be that judging guy. I am hospitality here at the 9:30 Mass, one of the team members, and I see people coming in late to Mass, and it used to bug the heck out of me. Or somebody that leaves Mass early, bug the heck out of me. And now I say, Chris, don't worry about it. Maybe they have a sick parent or a sick child at home or some appointment they have to get to. Or why are they late? I used to say, well, why are they even bothering coming at this point? The gospel's already been read. But you never know. You don't know that person. So I shut up and I don't judge anybody. I don't judge the way they look, they dress. And I think Village House helped me with that. Here's women. I don't judge anybody on the street anymore. It's not in my vocabulary.
What turns you on? What gets you excited in life?
Just good news, a birth, somebody dying peacefully, a wedding, remembering good things. I'm remembering today is Brian Donnelly's birthday, who passed away a couple years now ago, and remembering all those good times of that person. So that kind of thing turns me on. It's still the memory of that person. It's still those memories. It's good times. It's positive.
And what turns you off?
I'll still have to go with that hate and judgment. it kills me. I mean, not that I'm perfect. You know, I have to confess, today I pulled out. Next thing I know, somebody's on my tail. The guy comes around me and I got the bird. Well, I couldn't stop myself. It came up. And after I did it, I said, what did you just do? You know, I corrected myself 3 seconds too late. But, you know, that kind of thing, you know, is just wrong. There's no room for this quick judgment of being angry. So.
What sound or noise do you love?
You know, I'm an outdoorsy guy. I love to fish. I love running water, but what I really love is waking up in the morning to birds going crazy. There's some mornings when you don't hear a peep, and there's other mornings when it's like, my gosh, what are they so happy about today? And it just makes me happy to hear them happy.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Well, I love all music, but we have some guys at work that play music, and sometimes this guy's got eclectic taste, and it goes to some of this, I call it angry white boy music or growler music, where the guy's rah, 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 rah into the microphone, and I just can't stand that stuff. So I gotta walk away.
Who is your favorite saint?
Okay, so I know everybody, you want to narrow it down to one, but obviously there's St. Christopher, but the poor guy to me got demoted. I love the idea of him carrying Christ, and I love to say that I carry Christ in here. My confirmation name is Joseph. I love St. Joseph. St. Peter to me is a guy that I can relate to because of all the screw-ups and the idiot things he did over his lifespan, but how he came out smelling like a rose. St. Francis of Assisi with the animals, but I have to throw a saint out there most people probably don't know, and that's St. Fiacre. And St. Fiacre, F-I-A-C-R-E, is a patron saint of gardens. And I love to garden. And I was at a garage sale, and we were at the end of the day, and they had a statue there. And I said, oh. She goes, it's a St. Francis of Assisi statue. And I said, well, I'll take it. How much? You know, and I can't remember, $5, $10. I mean, it was a steal. This thing's a beautiful statue. Got it home, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, this is not St. Francis. Who carries a shovel? There's a spade in this saint's hand. So I looked it up. And St. Fiacre is the patron saint of gardens. So this saint is in my backyard, in the garden. And if I have a good garden, I give St. Fiacre the kudos. If I have a bad garden, it's on me. So St. Fiacre, I'll go with.
That's a new one to me.
There you go.
What ministry or occupation, other than your own, would you most like to attempt?
You know, because being a Eucharistic minister is so dear to me, I would love to be in the Stephen ministry. I'm a little afraid of that. I'm a very sentimental guy, and I cry easy, and you know, it might bother me, but I think doing it would temper me enough that I would be able to do that and take communion to others that can't get to it. It's when we have a person at church that can't make it to communion, even though they can make it to their pew, it's easier for them to stay there, and we bring a Eucharistic minister or the priest to distribute communion to them. It's so warming to see that. It's, you know, everybody goes to communion, but when communion is brought to you or Eucharist is brought to you special like that, it's a little above and beyond, and it warms me to see that.
It's kind of like the friends who lowered the cripple down into the
There you go.
to Jesus, right? Sometimes you have to.
That's right.
Bring it that way. Okay. What ministry or occupation would you not like to do?
You know, I think really here, I like to go by that mantra that if you force yourself to do it once or twice and see how it's done, I think I could do anything here. I really think I could. But what I probably wouldn't want to do, I don't know, maybe the gardening here, just because it's more work for me here, you know. Even though I know I could do that job easy or with others, but that's probably not a great one to say, as I'll probably eventually help with that. I know they're doing it today even. You're probably gonna have to cut some of this out because I'm gonna have to think of what I probably really wouldn't want to do here. I probably
could
wouldn't
also be
want.
an
I'll tell you what I
occupation.
wouldn't want to do. I wouldn't want to be a money counter during festival.
Okay.
I really wouldn't, because I think they all miss what's going on. They're stuck in that room, and they've got time off to do it otherwise, but they're still missing what's going on outside. And to me, you got to be part of it. I know they're necessary, but I would not want to do that job. How's that?
Okay. And lastly, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I would love to hear him just say, you know, come on in. Come on in. It's really cliche, you know, but I hope that my faith and my life and what I've done and the things that I haven't done aren't enough to keep me out. And I just hope that he says I'm forgiven and that he does welcome me in with the rest of my family members that have gone before me.
Well, Chris, I've really enjoyed our time together. Thank you for sharing your stories, and God bless you.
Sorry for being so long-winded, Scott, and some of them, but like I told you before, I was nervous in the beginning, but praying a little bit beforehand, I think, calmed me down, and it's like we're sharing a beer here. So thank you for doing this, and thank you for inviting me.
Well, there we have it. Another episode of Getting to Know the Family. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Until then, I'll see you in the pews.